When did your teacher give everyone a free A+? My chemistry teacher, Mr. Novak, was the kind of guy who never smiled. Not once in 4 years did anyone see that man's teeth. So when he walked into class on a Friday grinning ear to ear, every single one of us got nervous. He set a locked metal box on his desk and said, whoever opens this box by the end of the day gets an automatic A+ for the entire year. Not the semester, the year. The only rule was we couldn't break the box or use any tool, just our brains. Everyone immediately rushed the desk. Kids were shaking it, spinning the combination lock, holding it up to their ears like safecrackers in a movie. Nothing worked. Mr. Novak sat in his chair watching us with that creepy smile while eating an apple. After 20 minutes of chaos, he told us to sit down and said something that changed everything. He said the box had been sitting in his classroom for 11 years. Every single class had tried to open it. Nobody ever had. My lab partner Maya leaned over and whispered that she thought the answer wasn't the lock at all. I asked her what she meant. She pointed at the box and said, look at the bottom. I flipped it over and found a small engraving that read, the key is not where you think. Everyone had been focused on the combination lock on top, but Maya was already thinking differently. During lunch, Maya and I skipped eating and went back to the classroom. Mr. Novak was still there grading papers. He didn't stop us from examining the box again. Maya started pressing every surface of the metal, and on the third try, the back panel clicked. There was a hidden sliding mechanism built into the rear wall of the box that had nothing to do with the lock on top. The lock was a decoy. The panel slid open, and inside was a single folded piece of paper. I pulled it out and unfolded it, expecting some kind of answer key or secret message. Instead, it was a handwritten letter. The handwriting was shaky and old. It read, if you're reading this, congratulations. You're the first person in my career to look past the obvious. I wrote this letter 30 years ago when I started teaching because I wanted proof that at least one student would think for themselves instead of following the crowd. I'm proud of you, and I hope I'm still alive to shake your hand. It was signed, Robert Novak. Maya and I looked up at Mr. Novak. He had stopped grading. His hands were trembling, and his eyes were glassy. He stood up slowly and walked over to us without saying a word. He picked up the letter and read it silently. I watched a tear slide down his cheek and disappear into his beard. Then he told us he'd written that letter when he was 24 years old, fresh out of college, and terrified he'd be a terrible teacher. He put it in the box thinking someone would find it within a year. 11 years at this school, and 30 total in his career. Nobody ever had. He gave Maya and me the A+ on the spot. Then he did something nobody expected. He announced it to the whole class when everyone came back from lunch. But instead of being jealous, the other students started clapping. Even the kids who never paid attention were impressed. The story should have ended there, and it would have been perfect, but it didn't. The following Monday, Maya came to school looking pale. She pulled me aside and said she'd been researching Mr. Novak over the weekend because something about that letter felt off. She found an old newspaper article from 2006 about a teacher at another school who was fired for running psychological experiments on students without consent. The teacher's name was Robert Novak. She showed me the article on her phone. The experiments involved placing puzzles in classrooms designed to identify students who thought independently so he could recruit them into a separate advanced program that parents never knew about. The program was shut down and he was banned from that school district. I told her maybe it was a different Robert Novak. She shook her head and showed me the photo from the article. Same man, same eyes. 20 years younger, but unmistakable. We went to his classroom after school to confront him. He was sitting at his desk and the box was gone. In its place was a new box. Same size, same lock on top, same metal construction. He looked at us and that smile came back. He said, congratulations, you passed phase 1. Then he slid 2 folders across the desk with our names printed on them. Inside were application forms for something called the Parallax program. No school logo, no address, just a phone number and a question at the bottom that made my blood run cold. It asked, are you willing to see what others refuse to look at? Maya looked at me. I looked at the folder. Mr. Novak leaned back in his chair and said we had until Friday to decide. Then he picked up another apple and took a bite, still smiling. This story shows that the people who challenge you to think differently aren't always who they seem to be. Mr. Novak spent 30 years waiting for one student to look past the obvious, and when 2 finally did, the reward wasn't a grade. It was a door to something nobody was supposed to find. The most terrifying part isn't what's inside the Parallax program. It's that Maya and the narrator were chosen long before they ever touched that box.